Good morning. Let me begin by offering my thoughts and prayers and condolences to the individuals that were the victims of this act of violence that took place in our city last night. I want to begin by also stating to keep in mind that this investigation is only 8 hours old. There are a lot of questions that we're still exploring. We won't be able to answer everything, but we'll give you what we know up to this point. With me this morning is the Mayor, John Cranley, the Acting Fire Chief, Roy Winston, Councilmember Yvette Simpson, my command staff, the Special Agent in charge of Ohio for the ATF, Trevor, and I always mess up his last name, Velinor. Also, City Manager Harry Black is traveling today. He's not able to be with us, but I've been in contact with him throughout the night and the morning, and he's fully aware of what's taking place. Let me begin by saying, last night at about 1:30 a.m., our emergency communications section began receiving calls that shots had been fired with injuries inside the Cameos nightclub, which is located at 4601 Kellogg Avenue in District 2. As the night unfolded and the initial investigation began, it was determined that the bar was very crowded, approximately a couple of hundred people. And what we know at this point in the investigation, several local men got into some type of a dispute inside the bar, and it escalated into shots being fired from several individuals. As a result, there were 16 people that sustained gunshot injuries, one of which is deceased. A total of 15 others that were injured, one in extremely critical condition. In addition to that, several others, more serious injuries, and some very minor and were released. The individual that was deceased at the scene has been identified, and his family has been notified. Mr. O'Brien Spikes, a male, 27 years of age. Some additional information that I can tell you about the incident. This is a very large establishment. They do employ off-duty police officers to patrol the parking lot. They are required or responsible for the internal security themselves. It is my understanding that they do wand individuals and pat them down. However, what we know at this point, several firearms were able to be brought inside the bar. Our criminal investigations section is handling the investigation, and keep in mind again, there are multiple witnesses. There's a lot of information still coming in. We're still processing evidence from the scene, and we're asking any of those individuals that were there to please call Crime Stoppers and provide any additional information that they can provide. Also, we will be following up on what took place there. Our Vice Unit, the Ohio Investigative Unit, our Law Department, just to make sure that we've covered all our bases in this. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to the Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. Obviously, we are all deeply saddened by this tragedy that has affected at least 14 lives and family members. I ask all Cincinnati to pray for the victims and their families at this time, especially those who are still fighting to cling on to life. This is going to be a long process for us to solve this crime, crimes plural, and to heal as a community. I certainly think it's time that we lean on prayer and each other. And if any of us know victims, to reach out to them and express any ways we can help. I also want to thank ATF, who's here as well, the police and fire, and the FBI and the ATF will be working to solve this heinous crime. Now, this morning, we've all been inundated with inquiries and questions, and as has been already been reported, there's no evidence that this was a terrorist attack like we've seen in Miami and many other places. However, to the victims, what difference does it make? They've been terrorized by gun violence, innocent victims. It's important for everyone to understand that people were just going to have a good time and ended up getting shot. That is totally unacceptable. This is a country where you should be able to go out and have a good time and not be in fear of getting shot. And so this is a tragedy that has struck other communities, and now it has struck Cincinnati. I'm confident that while our hearts are broken, that our spirit is not, and that we will work together as a community for the victims and to solve this crime. Obviously, prayers and thoughts are important, but not the final and only answer. It is going to take hard police work in cooperation, as I mentioned, with the ATF and the FBI. Ben Glassman, the acting U.S. attorney, and ATF, who is here, have already worked together for years with our police and the Hamilton County prosecutor and probation and parole to get these shooters off the streets, and the relationship has never been better. I am asking people to come forward and help us solve this crime. Crime Stoppers will obviously be involved. We need people to come forward. We need people to have courage to come forward and to identify the shooter or shooters in this case. We must solve this crime, and we must bring the shooters to justice. I also want to take a minute to thank our first responders. We had 4 police officers in the parking lot at the time on detail. It was obviously a chaotic situation. They rushed in to restore order and to start administering to the victims. Our firefighters immediately responded. Chief Winston will speak here in a minute about rushing victims to the hospital. And I think it's important to remember the sort of emotional tax that our first responders have to deal with in an unbelievably chaotic situation. I also want to thank everybody that's reaching out. I received a call from Governor Kasich this morning. He and I spoke for several minutes, and he obviously offered any help that the state can provide, and that's deeply appreciated. And we've received good wishes and help, assistance requests from across the country and across the state. We know that we will continue to go after gun violence. We will continue to hold parties responsible. And it's also important that we find ways to heal emotionally as well, which will take longer in some cases than the physical damage. And so all of us, I think, need to reach out to people in our community and figure out how we can continue to leave a better example. With that, I just want to ask everyone to continue to keep people in their prayers and to reach out to victims' families if they know any. And with that, I'd like Acting Chief Winston to talk about the fire quick response.
The fire department would, first of all, just like to offer its condolences to those 16 individuals and their families that were shot, along with the many other ones that were injured as well. As Mayor Cranley pointed out, the fire department responded. According to the records that we received, we ended up transporting 5 individuals via city medic transport unit. We also received assistance from the county, whereby they helped to transport 3 individuals as well. So of those 16 that were shot, the city as well as the county transported 8 of them. Upon the initial dispatch, Engine 18, which is located there near Lunken Airport, they received the first dispatch, but it was one of our district chiefs who actually heard the dispatch, and due to I think the initial reports were there were 6 to 10 people that were shot, so he upgraded the response, thereby giving 2 additional engine companies along with 4 additional transport units. And even when our companies were en route, I think the first victim that they actually came across was there at the corner of Stanley and Columbia Parkway. They were flagged down by one of the civilians standing there. So Medic 46, along with Medic 9 and District 1, another one of our district chiefs from downtown, they actually rendered first aid to those individuals that were there at that particular scene. Then Engine 18, which was that first engine company on the scene, the first thing they had to do, since there were so many victims, was just try to begin triage, and thereby trying to identify the most critical to the least in order to facilitate transport in that manner. So our lieutenant did a good job of, along with our paramedic supervisor, of really determining who was the most critical, and that was the way the transports took place thereafter. I mentioned the county also came in. One of the things that our district chief, District 4, did was he asked for additional transport units, but the majority of them were coming from the west side at this point because we had used up the initial allotment that we had. Thereby, the disaster net was open, and our city dispatch, along with the county dispatch, gave us 3 additional transports, all coming from Anderson, along with some additional ones later on. But those 3 that came from Anderson really helped to provide quick transport when we otherwise would have been waiting for a while. So we appreciate the help that they gave to us as well. Some of the things that made it difficult a little bit was because you had a mass group of people that are leaving the scene all at one time. So our units were a little delayed in getting into the scene just because everyone was pouring out. But we thought the police did a nice job of really rendering the scene as safe as they could in such a quick amount of time, which allowed us to get to those various patients. Because even though we had 16 that were shot, there were a number of other people that were just wounded from trying to flee. So they just were rendered minor basic medical care by those fire department units as well. But overall, even though the scene was very chaotic, we felt that our fire department personnel performed well in dealing with that and trying to provide the aid that they could in a timely manner.
Chief, if we could, a real quick question for Chief Winston.
Sure.
Given the chaotic nature of the scene, how fearful in that dynamic are you that your first responders, your firefighters, are going to go in and end up being victims themselves?
Well, we have things that help us to protect us in that sense, and we usually wait for the police to give us a sense of when that scene is safe. Now, in this case, no doubt it was very difficult to make that declaration early, but they gave us, after they did a quick sweep, they gave us an indication that we could begin to transport and treat some of those individuals.
Chief Isaac, can you talk about the suspects? Anyone arrested at this point in custody?
At this point, we've not made any arrests. Again, as I mentioned, the investigation is in its very early stages. We are getting some information, but at this point, we've not made an
Is
arrest.
it possible that the shooters are among those who were injured?
We just don't know that at this time. There's a lot of interviews still to be done, a lot of evidence to process, and we will certainly make that information available as it develops.
Were there
Can we get
any?
a spelling of the deceased name?
It's O'Brien, O-B-R-Y-A-N, Spikes, S-P-I-K-E-S.
Were there any handguns recovered at the scene, and is there any way to estimate the number of shots fired?
We have recovered some information and some evidence at the scene regarding that. I really don't want to put that out because it could be very pertinent to the investigation at this point.
But again, to be clear, there were multiple people shooting. I believe that's what you said earlier.
We believe that there were more than one shooter.
Age range of the victims? Can you give us some sense of?
You know, it's an adult nightclub, so everyone was over the age of 18. The deceased individual I mentioned was 27 years of age.
And where stand our surveillance cameras inside the nightclub? How instrumental will that be in the investigation?
That's part of the investigation. That information is being recovered. If it's of any value, I'm not able to say at this point.
You said several hundred people were there. Was it over capacity?
I don't believe so. It's a very large establishment. It holds, I believe it actually holds that many people.
I understand there was a young woman there that was giving CPR to the victim that died. Do you know?
There were a number of individuals, our officers included. I really don't have all the details on that at this point.
And where was the victim from?
I'm not certain.
Mayor, can you speak to the issue of problematic spots in the city? And we know this club has had some issues in the past. Is this something that the city can look at to see if it needs to continue to remain open, or how do you view that?
I think it's too early to answer that question directly as relates to this establishment, but it obviously begs the question and needs further inquiry. Right now, I think the focus is on bringing the shooter or shooters to justice and praying and hoping and helping the families to heal. And so I just think it's too soon to get into that, but obviously it's something that will be gotten into.
Chief, can you explain why a nightclub can be open until 4 a.m. and kind of like the rules of how that works?
Very complex. It really has a lot to do with the serving of alcohol. I'm not sure of what the situation was last night. I haven't gotten into that part of the investigation. All of that will come later. Right now, my primary focus has been on the victims and apprehending those that are responsible for this.
Chief, the place did have a liquor license, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Chief, you said that there were 4 off-duty officers outside. Can you explain kind of what their role is, since that the club is responsible for security?
Yeah, for any liquor permit premise, we provide security for the parking lot and the surrounding area. Our officers patrol the streets. We do not act as bouncers in private establishments.
To be clear, they do not handle the wanding?
Correct. That is correct.
So it was just wanding, or is it?
My understanding is that's what was provided, but again, very early. I mean, all of those questions will be asked.
Is that a scenario where their body cameras would have been on? Or
No, not in this situation. Body cameras on detail officers, that is part of our phase 2 rollout, which will be beginning here in the near future.
Chief, according to the city managers, put out a memo earlier this morning indicating that there had been some kind of a dispute earlier in the day, and then it ended up in the club and escalated from there. Is that your impression? Do you know what kind of time frame we're looking at?
I'm not certain of that. I can't verify that. Again, there's a lot of differing information coming in. Our investigators are determining what's actually fact and versus what's just information that's out there.
Does the club have a lot of gang activity as far as you know, Chief?
Not to my knowledge, I can't speak to that.
Chief, you said there were several guns in the club, plus you're looking for one shooter.
I didn't say that. I said we believe that there were multiple individuals involved in this. We don't know yet. There's a lot of ballistic information and evidence processing that still needs to take place.
Okay, thanks everybody. We appreciate you coming out. We'll be able to provide additional information to you throughout the day as we get it, including tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. There's a hearing at the Law Committee. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. They're working the investigation hard. We're going to share as much with you as soon as we possibly can.
Officer Hills just speak